Ramaswamy, why do you keep going at Nikki Haley? Why do you think this is going to bear fruit?
Chris, I don't know what you've been smoking, man. You and the rest of the mainstream media. It's laughable. Nikki Haley's been going after me the whole campaign. First debate, second debate. You know, she's been trailing me for much of the time, but I realize the establishment media has realized that there's a puppet they want to put up. I'm not playing that game. The grassroots of this country know they want a leader who isn't going to send us, our sons and daughters, to go die in foreign wars that racked up $7 trillion in debt. Dick Cheney 2.0 is taking over the GOP. Problem is the Democratic establishment media is now rooting for war, too. I'm the only candidate speaking for a true America First agenda on that debate stage, and I think we're going to be successful.
Vivek, how are you going to bring people together when you...
Oh, this is going places, people. Did I see Chris Cuomo doing a thing with his hands over his nose? Was he doing a cocaine joke there?
Media, it's laughable. Nikki Haley's been going after me the whole campaign. First debate, second debate.
Okay, so that might have been a
point. I was taking over
let
the
this play
GOP.
out.
Problem is the Democratic establishment media is now rooting for war too. I'm the only candidate speaking for a true America First agenda on that debate stage, and I think we're going to be successful.
Let's see where this goes, people.
Vivek, how are you going to bring people together when you just put together a tapestry of conspiracies? You know that I'm not pitching anything about
Chris,
Nikki Haley.
what are you talking about?
Come on my show.
A tapestry of conspiracies, like Alex Jones said, everybody. They only have one move, and they use it over and... I didn't hear him suggest any conspiracy theories, unless the idea that there is a clear media favorite that has changed in the GOP. If there's not a clear media favorite, they're certainly acting like there is.
No tapestry.
She won't even come on my show.
Tapestry
what are you
of
talking about, Pepe?
I'm sure she doesn't.
Hold on a second. I let you put it out there, and now I get to finish smoking, and now I get to answer.
I gotta tell you something. Chris Cuomo is like a less capable version of Mehdi Hasan. Mehdi Hasan, for all his foibles, is good in his tactics of attacking and, what's the word? Not sabotaging. When you surprise attack, oh my goodness, the word. What? Mehdi Hasan is better at it than Chris Cuomo, but let's hear him out. Let's hear him out.
Which is, this is what the media is doing, is putting up Nikki Haley against me because they know I'm the real deal. Please. She hasn't even been on my show. I'm just watching you get slapped around by her, and I'm wondering what your strategy is.
Watching Vivek get slapped around by her, and I'm wondering what the... Oh, she really nailed him with that I wear heels for ammo. The internet still has no idea what the hell she was talking about. Oh, she's been slapping him around. What's the word I'm looking for? Ambush. Yeah, and Mehdi Hasan is much better at ambushing his host than Chris Cuomo. That might be actually a compliment to Chris.
The matter is, Chris, my strategy is calling out the mainstream media like I did to Kristen Welker at the start of that debate. I asked her about the Trump-Russia collusion hoax, told her to look the audience in the eye and apologize to them. Just like I'll tell you, you're part of the mainstream media despite pretending like you're not. Look the audience in the eye and tell them how you covered for your brother for all that happened.
I think the problem is actually at this point, Chris Cuomo is no longer part of the mainstream media, but set that aside.
The mainstream media. Hey, listen.
And you play the same games that the rest of the mainstream media does.
Take care of
you're
your
doing
family?
it tonight.
That's fine.
You have been covering for your brother. You have been playing a game. You were kicked off there on CNN.
Of course I covered for my brother. Ooh. Well, that made the news today, by the way.
Of course I help my brother. Of course I do.
And you know what? That's been journalistic standards that have now been failed, not just by you, but by every member of the broken political media. So, yes, it is going to take an outsider to call it out. And you want to look
everyone in the media is responsible for covering for my brother?
No. Everyone in the mainstream media is broken, pathological liars. You, Chris Cuomo, are uniquely guilty of being deliberately misleading, covering for your brother, and not just that, using sources to get info on your brother's accusers while not only failing to report on your brother accurately, but partaking or exploiting of your sources to defend your brother while working for CNN, among other things. But we'll get there.
See what I'm saying?
90% of the media is colluding with respect to pushing one answer
Vivek,
on the American public for the origin of COVID-19 to the Hunter Biden laptop story to now which people they decide they want to put up as their puppets to take on Donald Trump. And that's just the fact of the matter.
Look,
I will. You know who I think needs to be and will be the GOP nominee. but I like Vivek. I know people don't trust him. Oh, it's very easy not to trust somebody because you can always impute intentions that can neither be proven nor disproven in order to support your belief. That was a segment. I don't know who shared it. Vivek shared it, but it sounds like there's going to be more tonight. That was Chris Cuomo duking it out with Vivek. It's an amazing thing. You invite someone on your show only to interrupt them every 30 seconds. You're not going to like what they have to say, but that was a very, it was a revealing exchange, but not a useful one. Of course I helped my brother. Holy crab apples. Guys, I'm not tooting my own horn here. But I did reply. And this is what happened. Where is it? I replied, and then Chris Cuomo replied to my reply. Hold on. So I'll get Chris's. Here it is. Okay. My response to this was in response to Vivek's tweet that Chris is trying to rebrand himself. And I'm thinking, this is the problem when you get caught in not just a mistake, not get caught doing something, saying something that is wrong. When you get caught acting wrong, when you lose trust and credibility, it's very difficult to rebrand yourself as anything other than someone who, at one point in time on multiple occasions, displayed not just bad judgment, corrupt judgment, dishonest judgment, deceitful judgment. And I said Chris Cuomo can never rebrand himself. Once a proven liar, always a liar, Chris Cuomo. And now he admits to having covered for his brother. Wow. To which Chris Cuomo replied, I will always help family, period. There was nothing for me to cover. Oh, I'm sorry. If that's all that you did, if all that you did was not cover a story in which you had a personal interest, okay, you don't have to cover your brother. I mean, other people are and they'll understand why you're not. You don't have to cover your brother, but covering for your brother is a very different thing. And tonight on News Nation, we have the reality of Vivek Ramaswamy can't duck no matter how many words fly out of his face. So that's some journalism right there. There was nothing for me to cover. False. There was actually something for you to cover up. Collective memory is very short. Mine isn't. Hold on. Oh yeah, Chris Cuomo suspended over help to governor brother. First of all, how tall are these people? I thought Chris Cuomo would have been 6 feet tall. If he's 6 feet tall, what's his brother's name? Andrew Cuomo's got to be like 6'6". People are big in America. Tall, not just big. Not big, but tall, I mean. This is the article, people. CNN's Chris Cuomo suspended over help to governor brother. Does everybody remember this? CNN star Chris Cuomo has been suspended indefinitely over help he gave his ex-New York governor brother while he was battling sex abuse allegations. The decision came after the New York Attorney General released new documents that show the extent of his work for his older sibling, Andrew Cuomo. CNN said the documents show, quote, a great level of involvement in his brother's efforts than we previously knew. Cuomo resigned. Chris Cuomo behind-the-scenes efforts to help his politician brother were widely considered a breach of journalistic ethics in the media industry. And I got to tell you something. I mean, sure, Cuomo, the brother, became public enemy number one real fast. And maybe they threw him under the bus for various reasons. But when CNN and the mainstream media, who ran the Russiagate hoax for years, is saying that Chris Cuomo lacked journalistic ethics, you know you done messed up seriously bad. 1,000 pages, yada, yada. Oh, what was the other one? Is this the one where I was looking up CNN's? Okay, so that's one article. We don't need to go into it, but I'll give it all to you. You can go read that one. There was another one. What did Chris Cuomo do? Now, it's what help your brother. It's that's fine. If you help your brother the way Hillary Clinton helped Bill Clinton try to cover up there, Chris Cuomo used sources, quote, to gain info on brother Andrew's accusers, records show. Transcripts released Monday shed new light on the CNN and Chris Cuomo's behind-the-scene role advising his brother in the face of sexual allegation harassment. Chris Cuomo offered to help try and find out through his, quote, sources whether more women were going to come forward, including possibly learning their identities. Wow. Hashtag Me Too. Oh, my goodness. Chris Cuomo said the host of CNN's Cuomo, he's defended himself by saying he never reported on Cuomo's situation for CNN and never tried to influence coverage. Well, some people might have a few, things about that. Here's the BBC article, and I'll share this one with you. So yeah, not covering up, unless we forget about Chris also being deceitful or lying about either having contracted COVID when his quarantine started, whether or not he respected the rules that were expected to be followed by the highly scientific rules. Oh my. You remember that when he said he had either contracted COVID, had a mandatory quarantine, and then was caught on camera berating a bicyclist, which showed that he was either violating his quarantine or lied about having COVID. Oh, and it's not like anybody believed anybody in their right mind should have been quarantining for 12 to 14 days, 5 days if you got the jab. And if you in Canada, quarantining your kid if they merely came across someone who was later diagnosed with COVID. It's not like many people with half a brain thought that was rational, logical, or scientific. But when you say you're doing it and you get busted having not done it while you're pushing that crap on everyone else out there in your trusted, respected role as a journalist, oh boy, you got problems. Okay, cracking my knuckles. Ooh. So we got Julie Kelly coming on at give or take 4 o'clock. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff, in as much as we can talk about a lot of stuff within the 20 to 30 minutes that she's going to be on. I realized before I got started, I didn't check that we were live everywhere. For those of you who don't know who I am, Viva Frei, Montreal litigator turned Florida rumbler. And the way this goes, afternoon show so that I could accommodate Julie's availabilities, because we need to talk about a lot of stuff that Julie's covering. The manhunt for that guy Yetman, the warrant that was issued for his arrest. She's covering the January 6th trials. She's covering the Donald Trump trials. So we're going to go there. Now, the way this works. Oh, for a second, I thought that green thing was just an eye. Look at that. That green. Oh, that beautiful little green statue right there. It's idolatry, but I'm proud of it. What was I going to say? For those of you who don't know how this works, we start off on YouTube, Rumble, and vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Are we live there? Yes, we are. And then after 15 to 30 minutes, we end on YouTube, go over exclusively to Rumble, and then carry on the rest of the show there. End on Rumble, and I go over to vivabarneslaw.locals.com for an after party. And that's it. Now, what else was I going to say? No medical advice, no election fortification advice, no legal advice. There are these things called super chats, Rumble rants. There's a couple of Rumble rants. I'll get to them in a second or afterwards because I have the app now that allows me to keep them up so I can see them. YouTube takes 30% of the super chats. If you don't like that, go to the free speech platform Rumble. Rumble ordinarily takes 20%. And I just got distracted by a comment. It's Pudge TV says, I've never just caught live show. Hold on. I've got to bring this one up just so that everybody knows why I got distracted, like someone who just saw a squirrel. Because my dog's name is Pudge, so I don't know if Pudge TV is. I'm gonna have to see what that is afterwards. Let me click that over. Dude, that has nothing to do with my dog. Okay, Pudge TV says, first time I caught you live. Pudge is my paralyzed puggle. Alliteration not intended, because that would have implied that we paralyzed Pudge the puggle to be Pudge the paralyzed puggle. And I lost my thoughts. So we're going to go over to Rumble in a few minutes, get to some of the discussion in the chat. But hold on, people. You may have noticed that let me make sure that I checked the box. So you may have noticed when you started this stream, it said this stream contains a paid promotion, because it does. I've made the big leagues, people, where I have sponsors, but not just that, sponsors that I like. In fact, I like all my sponsors. I wouldn't sponsor them otherwise. But let me bring up today's sponsor, which is, some of you may know it, The Wellness Company. Let me get that out of here. The Wellness Company, healthcare without the propaganda. Now, I'll tell you, this does have personal impact to me as well, but I'll tell you the company. By the way, did you know that 90% of pharmaceuticals in the U.S. are produced outside of the U.S.? I learned this during COVID. When we got locked down in Canada, and I'm thinking, holy crap, how do I get my kids medication? Because, kids have medication. Some of them are on, asthma, Ventolin, whatever the heck. How do I get it? Okay, well, I get it at the pharmacy. Well, what happens if a certain country that may or may not have had a hand in this virus doesn't ship? Well, we are screwed. I didn't realize how dependent we were, not just on stuff coming from China, but India as well. Not necessarily friendly countries. until COVID hit. 90% of pharmaceuticals are produced outside the US. What happens during the next global crisis? Countries clamp down on exports, they stockpile, prices of drugs rise, and pharmaceutical shelves are empty. That's where the Wellness Company comes in. Wellness Company Medical Emergency Kit holds 8 life-saving medications that every American should have at home. Antibiotics, antivirals, antiparasitics. It contains amoxicillin, ivermectin, a Z-Pak, all this other good stuff. 22-page booklet that tells you how to use it safely. The prescription kit is in huge demand right now. Head to twc.health/Viva. And because I have a bit of a lisp, it is TWC as in the Wellness Company. But if I go with international code, it's Tango, Whiskey, Charlie, .health as in the word, /Viva. Grab yours now. Put in the promo code Viva. You get 10% out at checkout. Kits are only available in the USA, which is where I am right now. So that is the Wellness Company. And it's, everybody has, what are they called? An emergency kit. What the heck are those things called? You know, the ones where you have the antibiotic cream in it. What are those things called? Chat, what are those things called? An emergency kit that you have in the back of the car, you have them at home. And, this is a bigger, better one from a company you can trust, the Wellness Company. The link is in the pinned description. Oh, what are they called? I don't know what, I'm blaming the kids for senility. I have a little lisp too. Natalie, I have such a lisp. A first aid kit. Thank you very much. I feel crazy. I have such a lisp that when I do those Twitter spaces, everybody thinks I'm wearing dentures. There's nothing wrong with wearing dentures, and if I had dentures, I would sooner not say something than say something that's false. But I have a bit of a lisp. I never picked up on it, but the mic on my phone when I do the Twitter spaces on what do they call it? Speakerphone? Holy crap. Even I listen to myself. It sounds like I'm saying F instead of S. Very embarrassing. All right. So before we get into the American stuff, and we'll end on this after this story because I want people to know about it. James Topp is in the news. If you don't know who James Topp is, he's a former serviceman. He's a veteran. He's the guy that walked across Canada in protest of the vaccine mandates. I had him on the channel multiple times. And now I'm trying to think if I have ever met him in person. It's very difficult. I get very confused. He's the man that marched across Canada from Vancouver to Ottawa. Took him months. He's the man. He's amazing man. He's now been forced to plead guilty because he was being... I'm not sure. I need to catch up on the details, and hopefully I'll be able to get James back on the channel to talk about it himself. But I get a tweet this morning from one of my sources. It says James Topp, just had to plead guilty, and CTV News, Canadian Pravda is not going to miss the opportunity to put out an article that turns heroes into villains and villains into heroes. So I want everybody to know this. Canadian military veteran who criticized COVID-19 vaccine mandate has been forced to plead. And I understand that he pleaded. I mean, the thing is, I don't know if he pleaded because there was no issue of fact to be adjudicated here. I think he said what he said. He did it the way he did it. And at some point in time, I never tell anybody to break the law. I never tell anybody to break the law, even in protest. That's a personal decision for everyone to make. At some point, a hero is going to say, if my conduct breaks an unjust law, so be it, I'll suffer the consequences. We'll see what his consequences are. Former Canadian soldier who protested the federal government's COVID-19 vaccine requirements is facing a maximum punishment of dismissal with disgrace after pleading guilty in a military court Tuesday. Former warrant officer James Topp criticized the vaccine mandate for military members and other federal employees while in uniform in 2022. I know that I might harbor some double standards. If someone comes out in uniform and promotes certain ideologies, I would say it's inappropriate for them to do it in uniform. I think James Topp probably understood the rules and understood the potential sanctions when he did what he did in uniform. And for that, maybe it's pleading guilty because there's no issue of fact to decide here. He pleaded guilty to 2 counts of conduct to the prejudice of good order. Oh, I can't scream bullcrap hard enough. And discipline at the start of his court-martial in New Westminster, British Columbia. 2 additional charges related to improperly wearing his uniform were withdrawn by the prosecutors after he pleaded not guilty to both at the start of the pleadings. The charges stemmed from statements made in 2 videos recorded around Abbotsford, BC that later posted to TikTok and YouTube. In the videos, he appeared in uniform. Oh, what is it? In the uniform of the Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry, where he had previously served. The Vancouver resident, who left the military early this year, I'm sure they chased him out. Boy, howdy. Went on to lead a months-long march from... There's the list. A months-long march from Vancouver to Ottawa became a symbol for Canadians opposed to vaccine requirements and perceived government overreach. Oh, yeah. No. Oh, it's only in our perception, CTV. It wasn't government overreach to lock us in our houses for 5.5 months. It wasn't government overreach to forcibly detain people in designated quarantine facilities without the advice of counsel, without telling their families where they went. That's just perceived. I'm sorry if you thought we abused you. Top joined the... Listen to this. This man is a hero. Joined the regular forces in 1990, deploying to Bosnia and Afghanistan before transferring to the Army Reserves in 2019. So that's it. So we'll see what the sanction is. We'll see what the punishment is. That's the news of James Top coming out of Canada. And when I say that, when I say that CTV propaganda turns villains into heroes and heroes into villains, I wasn't going to bring it up because nothing about the discussion, nothing about the situation. I hate talking about it. I hate the world in which we live sometimes. But sometimes it's useful to put these people on blast, and these people, I mean CTV. Listen to this. Listen to this. Let me just bring it up in incognito because sometimes. Okay, let's see here. This is the same CTV News, by the way. Turns heroes into villains and villains into heroes. This is the tweet that CTV News put out earlier today. Canadian peace activist Vivian Silver, who went missing after a Hamas attack, has died. I mean, the way... That's their tweet of their own article. The way that tweet is drafted, one would think, it sounds kind of like, as was my sarcastic, sassy reply. Maybe it wasn't there. Maybe it was in the... It's like, oh, she died. She went missing after the Hamas attack and she died. It sounds like, oh, maybe she went on a hike and got lost, or she died of natural causes in her sleep, peacefully surrounded by the people she loved. Oh, no, let's go. One of the times the Community Notes gets it right. Oh, get that out of here. The post is misleading. For context, as reported by Global News, the sources said her remains have been identified and that she is believed to have been killed in the initial assault by Hamas. And you click on the article, by the way. You click on the article if I can, but I can't because I'm not in the article section. You go click on the article. Once you get past the dishonest propagandist headline, that is so bad, Community Notes got it right this time. I'll say why they got it right this time and why they got it wrong another time with me. This is how they have to report this. A courageous peace activist, quote, son of Vivian Silver, says she was murdered by Hamas on October 7th. It didn't happen. CTV doesn't want to go out on that limb right there and say that it happened, so they have to quote the son after having suggested that she died. She died. It wasn't murder. It wasn't murder in a terrorist attack. It was she died. Almost, and she looks old. It looks like an obituary of someone who passed away in their sleep. They can't even give the dignity to her in death. They just have to quote her son. Her son. Hold on, I'm sorry. I don't know if I brought this up here. Her son says she was murdered after CTV says she died. Just that. I don't know if I was showing the right tweet the first time, actually, but I think I was. Anyhow, that's what I say. Turning heroes into villains and villains into heroes. And since we have a few minutes, because I don't see Julie Kelly yet here, last story before we head over to Rumble. Let me give you the link to Rumble, and then I'll give you the link to Locals. Before we head on over there, one last story, because Community Notes can get it right, and they can be run, or they can have some lefties who have infiltrated, who insist on using it as a political tool, as a political weapon, and not as an information tool. Those are the two links to Rumble and Locals. when moles get it wrong. I posted what I thought was a kind of a funny tweet. I posted what I think is a damn funny tweet. There was a video of a volcano erupting. By the way, just look at that. The power of nature is truly amazing. This is from the current situation in Popocatépetl volcano in Mexico this morning. A volcano's erupting. I make a funny and in all respects scientifically accurate statement, and I'll tell you why in a second. How much carbon emissions is this responsible for? Volcanoes. It's fire. It's burnt stuff. It's carbon emissions into the sky. I mean, that must be sending shivers. People are literally crying because when they see this volcano erupting, they don't understand. Don't you understand the climate crisis? We're going to have to get rid of all of our wood-burning stoves. That's what I limited in my joke to compensate for that volcano. Also, when the dust goes into the atmosphere and results in global cooling, expect all of our politicians to claim that the climate crisis policies have reduced the Earth's temperature. It's a freaking joke that is scientifically accurate on both, because I didn't say that this volcano was responsible for more carbon emissions than humans. I just compared it to wood-burning stoves specifically and for a reason. What ends up happening? I think the wrong has been righted. It got a community note by, listen to this. What did I just say? Oh, how many wood-burning stoves? We're going to have to cut out all the wood-burning stoves. And also, it's going to cool the globe. This is what readers added context. I didn't ask you to add context and hijack and graffiti my post, you bums. You're just graffitiing over my post with your own opinions that have nothing to do with what I wrote. The readers note, the community notes, which has since been removed. Human emissions of carbon dioxide is more than 100 times those from all the volcanoes in the world combined. Good, thank you, Lisa, for the answer to a question nobody asked, although I still question the accuracy of that. Who are you talking to, community notes? While volcanic eruptions do add CO2, like I said, to the atmosphere, human activities emit a Mount St. Helens-sized eruption of CO2 every 2.5 hours. Thank you. You're like the little kid from Jerry Maguire. I didn't ask you a damn thing of what you thought about which volcanoes erupt what. I made a joke about wood-burning stoves and this volcano, and then rightly pointed out, anyone who remembers Mount Pinatubo erupting, when volcanoes erupt, they emit ash into the sky, silt that lasts for years. That actually create global cooling because it deflects the sun rays. It makes for nice sunsets as well, and sunrises for that matter. Nobody asked you for your damn opinion so you can graffiti on my stuff and put your unwanted, unsolicited, argumentative, not on point community notes to my joke. Get the hell out of there. And yeah, bottom line, it's been removed. It looks like it, at least it looks like it has. It has, because I looked at it earlier. I'm turning into a cranky old man, people. All right, there's 405 people watching on Rumble, on YouTube. There's much more on Rumble. Let us see that number go down. And I will, here we go. We shall move over to the free speech. Someone's coming into the office. Afternoon streams, when there are children at home, is a very bad idea. I see Julie Kelly in the background, so what I'm going to do right now is end this on YouTube. Come on over to Rumble, and we're going to have this discussion on Rumble in 3, 2, 1.